We'll call the meeting to order for the Douglas County Budget Committee meetings after afternoon session on Monday. Let's bring on County Council.
Even though she's supposed to be Tuesday.
So she wasn't gonna be able to make it, now she is, and we moved her to tomorrow, so
Thank you.
tab 6.
Oh, you're welcome. Good to see you.
Tiffany
Tab 6, page 26.
Podlesnik, County Council. There's not a ton of changes to our budget. There's a couple minor changes, I think, to some of the materials and services. With regard to personal services, I think you guys remember Paul Meyer, who was the longstanding county council. He was, for a portion of last year, working as a temporary employee, but he completed that service in December, so we no longer have that reflected, and we used to have 2 part-time legal assistants, and so that position is now combined as, it's still full-time, but it's a 32-hour position, and actually Michelle Evans, who's the current law librarian and the legal assistant, she's gonna move over to our office because we have a new law librarian that's gonna start next week.
So I will move to tentatively approve the county council budget.
I'll second that.
Can I make a quick comment, please?
Been moved and seconded, temporarily, tentatively approve county council budget. Any questions, comments?
Well, it's just, I wanna point out that literally everything we do here goes through your office. With a relatively small amount of people, it's actually the same thing with Dan's office. You review everything, and on top of that, you're still helping Dan do some of their work, and any kind of litigation or other things we get ourselves involved in, which happens from time to time. You guys are overseeing that too, so you guys do an amazing job, thank you.
Any further discussion, comments? Hearing none, all those, I'll entertain a motion to. We got one already. Thank you for keeping me on deck. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now to the law library.
Tiffany Podlesnik, County Council, who also manages the law library. I don't believe there's a lot of changes to that budget. We, as I said, we do have a new law librarian who will be starting this upcoming week. We did just renew the Westlaw account for the patron access computer for another 3 years. I don't think there's a ton of change there. I think it was a 3%, 5% increase. Other than that, we try and keep current with the number of subscriptions there, just to help the Douglas County community that needs services of the law library.
I remember right, the law library is a statutory requirement.
I believe so.
Time to get up.
I would, I will entertain a, motion to tentatively approve the law library budget.
I will move to tentatively approve the law library budget.
For a second,
I can second that.
all those in favor, any further discussion, comments? This is pretty easy, isn't it? Is your first one before us?
I think I did last year.
You did, okay. Anyway, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries.
Thank you.
Your bell.
Jim Zimmer's here.
Yeah. Okay. Jim, I told Jim just a few minutes ago, we're gonna work him over pretty well. We did so.
Which tab is this?
Fifty. Okay, floor is yours.
Good afternoon. Before you, I'm Jim Zimmer, Salmon Harbor Department. Before you is our fiscal year 26 budget proposal. Our total projected revenue for 26 is $3,233,415. $3,233,415. reflecting a 20% decrease from this year, which is kind of misleading. We made some changes to our advanced reservations, and it shifted revenue that we would typically see next year into this year. So you'll see that as a carryover from this year. You'll see that in that carryover line, or ending fund balance line. So camping and RV revenue represent the largest portion at $1,466,515. And again, that's $1 million low due to that revenue shift. Mortgage is up slightly at $480,000. Fuel sales are projected at $423,000. We anticipate $240,000 in RV license revenues, $6,000 from interest income, and $100,000 transfer in to support the county event planner. With a beginning fund balance of $1,199,000, our total available resources are $4,432,415. Expenditures, personal services are up 5% due to normal cost increase and standard wage increases. Material and services are down about 17% at $1,939,950 due to basically we're not doing a large scale dredging event. And when we installed our new cabins, those costs are in this year, so. Capital outlay is $150,000. $100,000 of that is building improvements, $25,000 for a dock gate, $15,000 for a mower, and $10,000 for electric utility car. And with that, we anticipate ending fiscal year '26 with a fund balance of $268,529. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
How do we get the large fund balance, beginning fund balances? When you look at the ending fund balances from the prior year?
So I think we had like 59,000 ending fund balance for last year.
Right.
And when I put together this budget, I looked at what I thought we would bring forward based on where we were when we built the budget. And it came out to like 199,000. And then that extra million is that revenue that we would have grabbed next year for reservations. What we did is previously when people would make a reservation, say July of last year, they'd be making a reservation a year out for July of this year. So, and the reservation fee was like, if they're gonna stay a month, it was like $100. So we wouldn't capture that money until the following fiscal year.
Until they finish their stay. Oh,
And now we're capturing that at the time they make the reservation rather than when they arrive.
Okay. Good.
And that should equal out as, I think by next year, we should be back on track that our camping revenue will be back where it's supposed to be, or.
Okay.
It's amazing the patrons over there, no matter what we do, they have figured out ways through our reservation systems to try to manipulate it to where they can be there and stay as long as they want and do all the things. And it's our biggest challenge over there is keeping the thing full but allowing other people an opportunity to get in. It's, you know, it used to be they would make their reservation for the next year exactly 1 year before. So it was booked up a year in advance all the time. And then have cancellations and a whole bunch of other, you know, just administrative problems that came with the way the system was designed.
And you'd change one thing and then they'd find something else.
We have a new experience there. We put in 8 new cabins and they're full service, so they've got linens and, you know, towels and bed sheets and all that stuff. So now you can go over there and have more of motel type experience and not have to bring your bedding and all your stuff with you.
Mhm.
And the idea there is that we're going to potentially increase occupancy percentage during the off season by allowing that and having that service. I think it's gonna work out great. The things have been, as soon as you made them available to rent, even before they were installed, they were starting to book up and they're already booked solid, so.
How far advanced can you make those bookings, a year?
The cabins, I think it's 6 months in the summer season, I think I'll have to check, but it could be a year in the winter for the off season.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
So, this maybe is more of a Dan question. I see the general fund central service reimbursement went down $53,000. Are we not using a specific central service we used to use or something?
Facilities is the main thing there that has been in the past, we've kind of tagged that as part of the calculation and they really don't need building facilities. So we adjusted that out.
When you see that project in the capital outlay for the bookstore improvements, that is a building that was part of a land lease. So in other words, someone owned the building, it was on our land, they paid a land lease, or at least we're supposed to pay a land lease. And we went through a many month-long, years-long process to where we claimed that building due to default in the lease agreement. So we now own the building over there in the harbor and it's in poor condition and needs to be cleaned up. That's what that money there's for.
Is that gonna be used for something?
Ideally, sell it, so
Okay.
it isn't ours anymore, but
Any further comments, discussion, or?
So this building isn't in the Salmon Harbor? It is,
it's in Winchester Bay, it's on county-owned property.
So most of the buildings over there that where businesses are in are on county property, but we don't own the building. We just do land leases. So this was one of those land leases where a long time ago, very, very long time ago, somebody built a building on a land lease and they quit paying their land lease for a long time. And there was a process the county went through to sort of come to agreement with that. So, and the outcome of that is we now have a building that is in dire need of repair, before anybody would want to have any ownership of it. So it looks like the idea is to clean it up, kind of rehab it and then sell it, try to capture back not only what we invest in, but some of the lost land lease amount of money that we
so how long
would
do you
be.
think it's gonna take before you're gonna sell it
It'll be next year.
next year?
Any comments?
Need a motion.
Entertain a motion to,
Move to approve, tentatively approve the Salmon Harbor budget.
I'll second that.
okay, been moved and tentatively to approve the budget for Salmon Harbor. Further comments, questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's done. And
Thank you.
thanks, Dan. Jim, I mean, we'll see you this summer maybe,
All right.
Emily's here from emergency management.
okay? Emily, I'll put you on the, well, we're scooting all around.
Tab 8.
My tabs are different. Thank you.
You're on.
Okay, Emily Ring, Douglas County Emergency Manager. I am a department currently of two staff. I currently have one FTE, Assistant Emergency Manager. At this time, same as last year, the request is to continue that. There's two reasons for two people in my department. One is for backup redundancy for services for the county. I am on call 24/7 and try to make myself on call 24/7, especially when incidents are happening, but sometimes I'm just not available. And then the assistant EM is cross-trained to be available to take over those services so that there's always at least one person for an incident response. And in addition, our department is offset a little bit, not as much as I would like, but still continues to be offset annually with an EMPG grant of about 89,000 and some change. This year is the EMPG grant that we have to offset personnel services costs that comes through the state. And my total this year is about 359,000 in the different categories. Let me know if you have any specific questions. Just for those listening who aren't aware, if I haven't presented to you before, I work in prevention, mitigation, preparedness, response, and recovery. So depending on what's going on, I'm doing one or more of those things. We just were cleaning a flood impacted house this morning, so I'm a little gross, so I apologize for that. There's just a little bit of everything going on all the time. My department tends to be a little more hidden, so if you have questions about any of my tasks or assignments, let me know.
Wish it was a little more hidden. We were pretty busy last fire season, and then just a couple months ago, we were pretty busy and continue to work on that flood stuff. So
Yeah.
your coming to Douglas County seems like timing was excellent because we got lots for you to do.
I'm glad you didn't take the aspect of it was a curse and so I would say about the assistant position as well, one of the reasons that I have asked for it to continue at this time is outreach and preparedness to the community is something we're trying to do more here. That was a conversation we had with the commissioners early on when you brought me on board. You said you wanted me to be more involved with the communities, giving more preparedness and outreach support to the communities. So we've really tried to ramp that up. Tyler helps me with that so that I can be doing some day-to-day work and he can be doing outreach or vice versa. So last year we averaged between 2 and 3 every month outreach or preparedness presentations or events, work in school classrooms, things like that. Now that people have known us and are a little more used to us, those asks are increasing this year, which is great. That's what we want. So for example, currently I haven't answered them yet, but I have about 7 to 8 requests to begin pre-season preparation conversations with people. People know fire season's coming, they want me to come to their apartment complex or their village or their neighborhood, their fire station, community event, and so that's great. So we wanna continue that kind of outreach, so that is where some of those additional activities come from.
Would there ever be a situation where both you and your assistant would not be available?
So yes, there is that possibility, in which case, so for example, if someone's sick and someone's out of the area, whatever, then the backup plan is we can have a conversation with the commissioners, say, hey, we think we might need to tap, mutual aid or things like that. The commissioners also, especially Commissioner Freeman, serve a fill-in role depending on what the incident and the need is. We try very hard to never make that happen, but I can't guarantee that
Right.
somebody wouldn't be.
One of her biggest challenges is during these emergencies, all 3 commissioners are out doing stuff. So she feels like she's kind of herding cats a little bit, but we are part of the response on most events, maybe more so than most emergency managers are used to.
I think it's a blessing, and I hope people appreciate how involved and capable the commissioners are here. That is not typical, and it's been very helpful.
If you're on duty 24 hours, how come your overtime says 0?
So my position is exempt, I'm not eligible for overtime. Yeah, so
How did you score that?
that's
We try real hard to manage sort of comp
Right.
time and
Yeah.
she's not as good at it as she needs to be, but she works more than she should. But the idea is that, you have a big event and you work, but then you take an extra week off or an extra couple afternoons or whatever you gotta do to make up for it. But Again, I don't think she's quite as good at that as she should be.
The BOC is very good at letting me flex, but there are times where I'll work 80 or 100 hours a week, depending on what's going on. And then as soon as I can, if I can work 30, I will ask for that and we'll just flex when things are more stable. But yeah, I'm not an overtime eligible position.
Good thing, if you break us.
Yeah, you wouldn't want that anyways, so.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve the Douglas County Emergency Management Fund.
I make a motion to tentatively approve the Douglas County Emergency Management Fund.
I'll second that.
And it's been moved and seconded to approve that fund. Any further discussion, comments? Thanks for all you do.
Thank you,
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
thank you.
Thanks. Looks like she's going to fire. Oh, that's her deal, isn't it?
Her office is across the street. Across the hall.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, we got the Parks Department. Mark.
Morning, everyone.
Morning.
Showed up early.
Let's see, we got tab number 18 and
Hi, everyone. My name is Mark Wall. I'm here representing the Parks Department today. We'll start off with our org chart. There was no change in our FTEs year over year. On page 79, intergovernmental revenues, they were up 149,000. A lot of that's due to additional O&M support we got out of the ATV grant committee, and I expect we'll see that revenue continue going forward. We have 2 park projects in the current budget: Stanton Park Phase 3 and Whistler Bend Phase 2. Capital outlay, we have a couple of pay stations. Just to give you some background on those, when I first got here, we were handling over $200,000 in cash. That cash gets counted twice by my department and once by Dan's department. It was a major labor effort. We've been rolling out these pay stations. We cut our cash handling in over half last year, and we'll roll out some additional ones this year in conjunction with capital projects to further reduce that cash handling.
where would those cash stations be?
Excuse me?
Where would those cash over camping? Okay.
They're a networked pay station. They accept a credit card.
Okay.
And so we have some challenges where we don't have that connectivity. But where we have it, it's a great asset.
Yeah.
And as a side benefit, not only does it reduce our cash handling, but it also reduces theft of services. It's not uncommon for people to put a pay envelope in the pay box and take the tear off for the 2 nights they're staying. And when we pick up the envelopes 2 or 3 days later, there's either a silly note in there or nothing.
Oh.
So that kind of got you, and they've since moved on. So it'll eliminate some of that. And then just some miscellaneous equipment. We have a tractor we're buying for the coast, and recently got a grant that'll fund 75% of that. And a big ticket item this year is our shop truck, which is an essential part of our operation. It's near the end of its useful life, and we want to get rid of it while it still has retained some value, and make sure that we lead technician has the right truck to do his job. We're sunk without that shop truck. On the page 81 on revenue, I'm showing top line campground revenue of approximately $150,000, and that's on account of the phase 3 edition of Umpqua Dunes, which will be completed next month. And phase 2 of Stanton, which was a remodel of the upper campground, and we hope to have that open in August. So that'll drive additional revenue for those projects completed. As a line item on land sales, that number bounces around a little bit. We had $1 million plus in there for FY '24, fiscal year '25, and $415 for FY '26. We have 2 sales planned in either June or July. That'll sell the Green Oaks and Pass Creek Park. And there should be $1 million plus revenue coming out of those 2 sales. And they're just gonna kind of fall around the fiscal year.
Questions, go ahead.
This might be more of a Dan question. So I see on your, on page 79 under requirements, says transfer out Salmon Harbor, $100,000. And then on the Salmon Harbor, I see transfer in from general fund. Are those 2 different things? $100,000 there. I'm assuming both of those are the,
That's the same thing, did we get the number?
Yeah, that 100,000 is to cover Jody and her.
I know what it's for, but on the Salmon Harbor side, instead of coming in from general fund, probably should come in from parks, right?
Well, yes, but they're part of the general fund and the transfers occur within that section of it, so yes.
Okay, you
that-
probably have it
that's-
right accounting wise, but,
Yeah.
so then the general fund resource contribution requirement, that's a negative number, so that 546, you could,
So that, from operations, that's what is,
extra that they're planning on making.
Correct.
But trying to figure out how that relates to the 100,000,
gotcha, it's in there.
so it is, okay.
So that nets out of that to the five
So
forty-six.
it's that plus,
Is that
even with spending
646?
100,000, they're
Yeah.
still expecting to have that much.
Yes.
That's what I wanted to know, thank you.
And I have a question. I'm assuming that from what you said, that there were under revenues, that the charges, fees, rents and other sales, you're $500,000 down, and most of that's at land sales?
Yes.
Yeah, and it's just the timing of it.
Yeah, the land sales is why that's down. You're actually not thinking that any of your camping revenue.
You know, operations were ahead of last year. It's just, it's a big number and it, you know, where it falls on the fence on the fiscal years can make an impact.
And the other way to look at that though, to your point, Mr. Freeman, I mean, 400,000 of that is a land sale
Of this 500,
out of 546.
400 of this lands.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yep.
Any questions, comments? So what's going on at Whistler's Bend, that phase 2?
We have phase 2 project to remodel the upper campground. Hope to break ground on that, next winter.
Are those,
Do some design stuff right now.
are the logs on the ground ready to be hauled away?
We've taken all the logs off site that we're gonna take out of there. What's left is firewood.
They have firewood permits you can buy and go out and cut firewood.
Oh, okay.
You're not
The
doing
better,
nothing.
the better butt logs we've sawn into lumber for picnic tables.
Okay. So the tree, so logs on the, they were pretty well decayed, so they were not able to be hauled away for milling or,
I didn't wanna see a log truck leave Whistler Bend Park. It's a lot of effort to generate a little bit of income.
oh yeah, okay.
It's just a lot of public sort of,
I know what you're saying.
public doesn't like that.
Okay,
And we have a need for that. We have a lot of need for lumber for making picnic tables, so
Yeah.
it's a good way to address the need and be less controversial
Okay.
than previous attempts at taking logs out of there.
okay, great.
You got a sawmill to saw them up?
Local guy out of Glide, just got to cut some up on a Wood-Mizer mill for us.
Yeah, good one.
Okay. I would entertain a motion if there are no further comments.
Move to tentatively approve the parks budget.
Okay.
Second that.
It's been moved and seconded to tentatively approve the Parks budget. Any further comments, questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, you bet. Let's see.
At the fair here.
Oh, yeah. Whoa, I've been waiting all afternoon for.
You bet. Come on up, Sierra.
Now, this isn't a difficult process. I wanna assure you, okay?
Okay.
We'll see.
We'll see.
We tend to make it harder on you your first time, just for
Yes.
fun.
That's okay.
You're on.
I'm on?
Yep.
Okay,
So we have tab number, looks like, 38 and 174.
So before you is the budget for the 2025-26 year, and it is $2,241,464. It's about $35,000 increase from last year. And that budget includes a new website that will make us ADA compliant, because we are currently not. We did get a $7,500 grant from the city for tourism to help fund that, and the rest will come from the general income budget. We're gonna be keeping our current FTEs at 9, but we did do a reclassification for one of them from a department assistant to an event coordinator. And then we have started preparations for the 2025 fair. We've got our entertainment lined out. Most of our contracts are out, so we're rolling right along with that. Is there anything else that you need to know?
Making sure the weather's not too hot.
Put an order in for good weather and no fire. As long as you got that done, we'll be in
No
good shape.
rain.
Fires.
No rain and not too hot.
Yeah, I agree.
We have no capital projects?
No capital projects. I think we really need to focus this next year on the small repairs, lighting, electrical issues, just the small stuff, nothing major, and try to get some of those things lined out. Some signage needs replaced, so I really wanna focus on trying to get those things looking a little bit better out there.
I did have an idea to help you on those days when it's too hot at the fair, more ice cream trucks.
I know, right?
So over the next 5 to 10 years, what do you see as major capital?
Projects?
Yeah,
I don't think you have to look out quite that far, do you?
okay.
No.
Let's go 3 to 5 years then.
3 to 5 years. I would say the racetrack, the grandstand is gonna probably need some work in a couple of years. That roof's not doing too well. It's not a huge moneymaker, obviously, but at some point it could become a liability to keep it open. So I think we'll have to look at that. The reader board, that's a huge one. We need to find a grant for that. So, but it's failing. Half of it's red right now, so.
Oh, no, the freeway?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, and it's old, so getting parts to replace it is becoming harder. But otherwise, I think just a lot of general maintenance needs to be done.
With the exhibit?
We could get a new building. I mean, really, it's,
Hang it in there?
yeah, it seems to be okay. The roof had a couple leaks this winter, but nothing major. So I think really it's just trying to assess each building, what we can do to, continue to make them stable so that they're usable for us and we can still profit off of them.
Has the capital improvements to Douglas Hall paying off? Does it,
Yeah.
Running it more?
Yeah, it definitely has. We don't have complaints about heat, which that's huge because when we do use it in the winter, the last couple of years, people bringing portable heaters to try to keep it warm. And then we've got a couple extra rentals this summer because it does have air conditioning, so they're comfortable with using it and they're larger events. So that's definitely been a plus.
Also, they were interested earlier about Mr. Zimmer's electronic cash machine or whatever. You're doing the same thing, so at
The dump station.
the dump station, tell them about that.
It's awesome. I'm super excited. One, it's cut down on labor for our office having to count it, but also it keeps people from stealing services. So we should hopefully see a 20 to 30% increase on our revenues for the dump station, because I know there's several people that were not paying to dump. They, and they were complaining the first week that they had to use that, so it's exciting. I'm excited to see over the next year to do a comparison for a whole year what our increase is.
That's the RV dump station. I always have to overpay because I never have the right change.
Yeah, see, and it's
So
card
I always
only.
put extra money
Yeah.
in.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it. But yeah, it's card now, so there's no more having that
Unfortunately,
change.
Katie, you were only making up for a small percentage of those that didn't pay.
It seems like I never have the right change. So I know years ago there was discussion about putting 99-year lease, hotel resort type things, you turn that into convention center. Has there been any more discussion about doing anything like that there?
There's been some discussion that comes along with that sports complex, but not individually, no. I do think it's something we need to, I don't know how, but we need to continue to press for. I know it would bring more conventions from out of the area. Having that hotel on site makes a huge difference when you can have, you can walk to where your classes are for the day. So, or, right there. I just came back from Virginia and the classes were right there. So you can go right to them. You don't have to get in a car, you don't have to drive. You can run back to your room if you need to, and it's just nice with our catering especially to have that on site. Makes a huge difference for bringing out of the area events.
Any further comments, discussion?
I'll say the same thing I say every year, or at least I try to. The amount of work that you guys get done out there with the limited number of people that you have is absolutely amazing. And when you go out there and you see an event in full swing and all the things that are happening from, drinks being served to meals being prepared and served and all the furniture set up and the room prep and the tear down and the cleanup and everything, I often wonder how you get it all done. So, and we're all very excited for you personally too. You've been there since you were in diapers, I think. And which, unlike some of us, that could have been just a few days ago. But you've come up through the ranks and you applied for that job and were chosen, as the best possible candidate. We're anxious to see what you're gonna do out there.
Thank you, I'm excited.
Certainly, we've had great success in promoting from within the fairgrounds over the years, and I know you'll do an excellent job. So,
I would move to tentatively approve the county fair board fund budget.
okay,
I'll second that.
it's been moved and seconded to tentatively approve the fair grounds budget. Any further discussion? Comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's pretty easy, wasn't it?
That's super easy.
Take the
Thank
rest-
you.
Take the rest of the afternoon off.
County school fund now. Back to Dan's list.
Okay,
Tab 40. So just as a reminder, the county schools fund is a fund where we distribute out, we receive funds from either timber receipts and or SRS funds. 25% of what comes in from the Forest Service, and then we distribute it out to the local school districts with the school district or individual schools within Douglas County. So this budget reflects, assuming SRS is reauthorized, if not, it would be a lower amount, most likely that we receive from timber receipts.
This is just a flush through account.
Yep.
do you have any estimates what the forest receipts would be?
Yeah, they were 833,000 total, so 600, 630 or something like, or something went into the first fund and the rest went into here.
So the total amount would be how much?
Maybe not even.
Well, we saw that, we actually got timber receipts this year.
Yeah.
Cause SRS wasn't approved, so we
Correct.
know what the Forest Service amount was, total was just over $800,000. Of that $800,000, we give 25% of that to the schools,
Right.
as opposed to being almost $5 million.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
so
we-
that is a noticeable difference.
Yeah,
Huh.
that's a real difference.
Okay, there's not really pretty easy deal.
Just a math thing, there's
Yeah.
no decision to make.
Okay,
I'll move to tentatively approve the county schools fund.
Second that.
Okay, been moved and seconded to tentatively approve the county schools fund. Any further discussion? Or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Great, motion passes. You wanna go over that predator damage control district on tab 42?
So this fund we have discussed already when we were discussing transfers out from the general fund. This would be the money coming in from the general fund and then contracting out for services for predator control.
Move to tentatively approve the predator control fund budget.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the predator damage control district. Any further comments, questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Let's go on to the drug abuse prevention fund. The next tab, 43.
So this is another pass-through money we receive from the specific revenue from the state that we contract out with ADAPT for services.
Move to approve the drug abuse prevention fund.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the drug and tentatively drug abuse prevention fund. Any further comments, questions? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Industrial Development Fund, 44.
So industrial development fund, anticipate estimate $1 million beginning fund balance. This last year we've completed at least partially completed a project out at the coast for a new water and sewer line in the Winchester Bay area. This fund is funded through lottery revenues that we get a portion of from the state. And then in the past, we've had a board that helped decide where the money went, that the Board of Commissioners now handle those responsibilities, and not a lot of change, other than the fact that we had a shared loan or bond that we've been paying down with the city of Sutherland for developing the industrial park out in Sutherland, and that has been paid off, so we no longer have payments to be made on that. So that's happened this year, so there will be no debt service in the future.
You are projecting a beginning fund balance that's on $1 million.
Yes.
Is that because we didn't spend what we thought?
As much as a placeholder is in the
Plus we receive, $650,000, $700,000 in revenue, and
That's not
We-
in
we
the
still have
intergovernmental
some-
revenue.
we still have some projects that haven't been completed that are kind of on hold down in the South County area where things have not been developed that we committed to that haven't, so that plays into that as well.
That takes up 103?
No, down in Glendale at that site,
Oh, okay.
the rail spur down there.
It's a $100,000 contribution, we committed to that. For that rail spur.
Yeah, I think that's what, it was right around that, amount, yeah.
Is that a motion?
Move to tentatively approve the industrial development board fund.
Second then.
Been moved and seconded to approve the industrial development fund. Further comments, questions? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Let's go to the,
You've got, Tony here.
yeah, that's the county forest management. you're up. How's that for?
39.
Been waiting on you.
Yeah.
Morning, committee and commissioners. I'm Tony Page, the land director.
See, 39, tab
81,
39.
right? We have a pretty small department, 3 people here. Start in on page 181 and kind of give you a rundown of what we do. The land department, just in case some of you don't know, we do all aspects of property management, including acquisitions and sales of real property, all aspects of forestry, county leases, appraisals, timber cruises, property management, tax foreclosures, as well as auctions, zone changes, property research. We do projects for other departments, including public works. We do the right-of-way acquisitions for them. And we're appraised and approved through ODOT for the highway projects they do for negotiations and acquisitions. So we work with realtors for sales of property and just about everything real estate related. So our beginning fund balance this year is 1 million. So the timber sales down on line number 2, we have 3 timber sales planned: Hudson, Slough, Norton Creek, Norton Orr. Those are nicknames that we give the properties. It went up from last year from 750,000 to 2,050,000. So that's a 173% increase for this year. We have some minor land sales going on, but number 2 would be line number 5. Charges and other, that would be, this is lease revenue that we get, and it's kind of an allocation that's been set up differently than it was in the past. The land department keeps $190,000 of this revenue for our cost, and then we divided, the land keeps that, and we administer approximately 200,000 plus or minus in lease monies that we transfer to the general fund. So total revenues this year, 2,575,000, which is up 37%. Any questions so far?
Yeah, sure. You said that under your timber sale was the Hudson Slough timber sale, is that what you mentioned?
Yeah.
And you said that was Thornton Orr too? I mean, is that where that is?
Norton Creek and, or Norton Creek, yeah, and Thornton Orr.
We're not having to
That's
go
the
across
ones that are
that
slated
bridge, are we,
this
to
year.
get there?
Huh?
We're not having to go across that bridge, are we, to get there?
Well, I think the bridge has been repaired and
That's ironic.
yeah, it has, but yeah, it is ironic, yeah. Yep, so. And I think there's a deal that's been worked out. We can haul the long way around, we don't have to go through that way, but we have some road improvements to do if we go the long way. So it'll probably happen one way or another, but. So
How many acres of timberland does the county?
the county has around 5,400 to 5,600 acres of timberland. And then there's, other lands from public works and the parks that we can access also.
Sure. So the percentage of what you're cutting on these timber sales, what does that amount to? Your overall percentage, how many acres or?
Well, we try to keep it on a sustainable rotation.
Okay.
We might take more this year, a little less the next year, but it was worked out originally, and it's kind of on track to be a continuation, rolling continuation, so.
Any other questions? Comments?
Your timber sales, those are gonna be up for public auction, is that how you do that? Or do you already
Well, we've been doing sealed bid auction.
bid,
Yeah.
not oral auction?
No, that's the choice so far. We could do it either way, but we have a forest manager who's the parks director, and that's his preferable method. He thinks that that's a way to go, and we've been getting, good bids. So.
motion to,
Tentatively approved county force management budget.
I'll second that.
okay, it's been approved and motion and approved that we approve the county forest management budget. Any further comments, questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Great, thanks for all you do.
Thanks.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to Title III funds.
So once again, this budget, assumes that the SRS has been reauthorized. Without SRS, there would be no current revenue coming in, new revenue coming in to Title III, as Title III is a distinct part of SRS and not an actual timber receipts, so this budget assumes that is taking place. Without it, there's still quite a few things that would still be going on as we have quite a bit of fund balance in there and ongoing projects that are Title III related currently.
What is our Title III fund balance? Is that,
Yeah, well,
there we go.
yeah, it was 7 million at the end of last year.
Okay.
Then we received some money and we have not received any money this year, so.
Even your rollover funds are committed though,
Pardon me?
those rollover funds are committed.
Yeah.
Yeah, so some years ago, we worked with several different organizations, including ONC counties, to change the way Title III dollars could be used, or at least clarify. Historically, you could use Title III funding at a county level for wildfire protection planning, but not implementation. So we changed, the Congress changed the allowable uses to include, they didn't use the word implementation, they used the term carry out. And as part of our protection plan, we talk about the need to access high fire danger areas, and with bridges specifically needing to be repaired to haul the weight of equipment to fight fires. So we are now funding several bridge replacement projects, at least partially with Title III funding. And those are already in the works. It takes some time to get through the system. So that's that obligated funding, a large portion of it.
And so was this in the Public Works? Was this in Scott's Public Works?
They're completed in the Public Works Fund and transferred from here.
Yeah.
So if you look at the
So
bottom
this
where
is
those
the
two bridges,
Yeah.
Those two
at the
bridges.
bottom, part of the funding for those is this fund. And then there's also, so I can remember everything, we did DFPA for a portion of their work that they do around Firewise communities.
Search and rescue,
Search and Rescue got a grant,
those are the main. and
Those are-
then
those are the main-
Planning department, that's
yeah, for planning,
for the fire.
for the fire planning, so.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? And entertain a motion.
Should we tentatively approve the Title III fund? Get it?
I'll second.
Then moved and seconded that we approve the Title III fund. Any further comments, questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Capital Projects Fund.
The Capital Projects Fund is kind of a general county capital fund where we do just that. We take care of larger capital projects within the county that don't have a place within a specific department like public works or funds. So this would be general county type projects. There is nothing slated necessarily at this point. It would be board approved during the upcoming year projects.
Move to tentatively approve the capital projects fund.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the capital projects fund. Any further comment, questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And last is on this page anyway, Employee Benefit Trust Fund. 57.
Michael Kurtz talked about this a little bit, in his discussion of the Human Resources Department. This is where all our, risk management and insurance related activities, are funneled through this fund, and paid for. We have traditionally been, or historically been self-insured for liability and unemployment and workers' comp insurance through this fund, so that's why we have a fund balance in there for the unknowns going forward, and we fund this fund with throughout the county, through all the departments. We have recently, this last year, changed over from being self-insured on the workman's comp side to obtaining insurance through the Safe Corporation. It penciled out to be a financially more viable way to go that way. We are still closing out some various claims on the workman comp side, but from going forward, it'll all be handled through Safe, and no longer handled by us. The increase in personnel services, as Michael discussed, we shifted 0.75 FTE for our risk manager out of his department into this fund. It makes more sense that way. That's where the majority of his time is spent, is these activities. And like I said before, all the different departments fund into this, put money into this on a regular basis to fund the activity. So it made more sense that to put most of his time in this fund. Also included in here is our health insurance program. Premiums come in from payroll, at least partially from the employees, and then our health insurance premiums are paid out of here as well.
So everything in here but the one employee, we've already covered in all the other budgets.
That's correct, yes.
And so all we're covering here basically is,
It turns out to be one FTE, it's 0.75 on our risk manager and 0.25 on my
They stand really close, it's like one FTE.
That's really- I feel like sometimes we approve the same thing multiple times.
It can seem like it, yeah.
Two different sides of the accounting equation.
They're all intertwined,
Yes.
that's for sure.
It's like a tangled web we weave.
Well, I would tentatively improve the employee benefit trust fund budget.
Second thought.
It's been moved and hopefully seconded.
Yep.
That we approve the Employee Benefit Trust Fund. Any further comments, questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That completes the day for today. If anybody have any comments, discussion?
Kind of talked about this at the beginning, but the amount of work the staff does, including the management and finance staff and Dan, personally Dan, and all the department heads and commissioners and all of us do year round on these budgets is pretty remarkable if you think about it. And the ability to put it together in a form where we can all follow through and make sure that we understand what's going on is very much appreciated. So please take that back to your staff and yourself. Understand that this isn't easy, and I appreciate how hard you work on it.
And a real simple discussion that we can give to the public that asks questions about the county budget. basically, we are taking about how much out of reserves this year for our budget? About.
The proposed year or the
Budgeted,
Proposed year.
twenty-two?
It's right here in the general.
Okay, well, it's easy for me to ask the question. Look it up. How much? 22.5. 22.5 is what we're taking out?
that's out of the general fund.
Yeah,
Excuse me,
Total is 40 million,
40 million is our budget.
that's our budget.
We're taking out 22 and a half.
Gotta jump.
So, and then,
You know, a lot
Starting
of
with
a lot of that though, you have to remember that a lot of these funds, we totally, you know, we appropriate spending 100%, which we rarely do. Personnel rarely tends to be as high as what we budget. We budget for full employment, you know, 100% throughout the year. Vacancies constantly throughout the county,
yeah,
and that number always comes in lower.
So give him an example, we budgeted 23 million in all that reduction last year,
Yeah, it's
general fund, and what do you think we're gonna end up?
less than that.
How much less?
Oh, 20 years, I mean, it'll be,
Several million.
yeah,
3 million
it'll be
less.
several.
Well, that contingency, if we don't spend the contingency, that rolls over.
Right.
So there's several things,
We budgeted for SRS.
and the rest didn't come, so that's a big, you know, then Trump did an executive order to increase timber, so this budget we're passing could have a portion of that increased timber receipt in it. So that everything's sort of up in the air right now, there's a lot going on at the federal level that makes this very unpredictable.
so our total budget is 40 million.
General
That's
fund?
reduction in fund balance, that's what our budget will say, yes.
And we're taking how much to subsidize that from our reserves?
That is 40 million,
So that's how much all funds are going down this year, budgeted, 40 million. Budget is actually 207.
Right, but what we're talking about though, and what we're approving is the general fund,
we're approving the whole county.
Or,
okay?
So your questions
But
about the.
but so many things are restricted, we can't do anything about it.
True, but we budget for those restricted expenses.
General fund's really the only one,
Yes, that we have the least amount of restrictions on, that's correct.
it's the one that you're gonna care about, I mean, the rest of these are.
Yep.
Actually, yeah,
So how many more years of serious needs that we have for our general fund before we run out of reserves? That's what I'm getting.
Depends if SRS is passed or if timber receipts go up.
Totally depends.
It's hard to,
Yeah,
I mean, that's why we continue to ratchet down at a glide slope level. Our Supreme Court case not being heard changed the trajectory quite a bit. So, you know, this budget year we're currently in, I think there was 32 positions, 23 positions removed. The one we're doing right now is less than that, but, you know, we gotta continue to sort of try to guess or predict what the federal government's gonna do, which is a really tough guess right now. Changes day to day, minute to minute sometimes. Last thing we'd wanna do though is to decimate county government and then tomorrow
pick it
have a
back
bunch of
up, yeah.
revenue come in.
right,
Try to
Try and
rebuild
get
it.
those people back.
So it's sort of a measured response to what's going on in DC, and we've been doing that for some time now. Before I got here, you know, that started happening, so it's really you know, it's a glide slope to an eventual cliff.
Yeah.
So it's hard to predict exactly to make the glide slope work, so you recognize you may have a somewhat of a cliff at the end, and it's trying to manage what that cliff looks like with the glide slope.
very good. Thanks, Dan, for sharing this.
So tomorrow morning, at 8:30.
8:30.
We have the extension service budget presentation. Not Adams County, but for the extension service, and then we resume this one at 9. 8:30 tomorrow.
Got a lot done today.
Yep.
Nice job.
Thank you, meeting's adjourned.
Because the chair was super.